Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do a first impressions and disassembly of the Civivi Baby Banter designed by Ben Peterson. You guys have probably seen my unboxing, and I really like the knife. It's a tiny little bugger. I actually got two. So what happened was White Mountain Knives, I think, accidentally sent me another Banter instead of the other knife I ordered. And turns out one of them is a little bit janky. On the surface, it seems fine, so I could see why it got past White Mountain Knives. I don't totally understand how it got past Civivi, but whatever. I've done my best to fix it, and they told me I could keep it to give away. I'm just not comfortable giving it away, because essentially, I don't know, you would get it and probably be trying to get a warranty thing going right away, and that's not really fair. I have other stuff to give away, so what I'm gonna do is, I did my best to fix it, and I'll show you that because I'll disassemble this one. No reason to take apart mine if it's running flawlessly. I've kind of learned that lesson. At least on some knives. If it's like a Riot made knife, I know it's gonna just come apart and go back together, no problem. It really depends. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is send this, next time I send a package to Justin, OCD for EDC, I'm going to include this, and he can either try to fix it up or, give it to his wife Molly or his daughter or something as a beater or whatever. It still functions pretty much flawlessly. Just has some issues, which I'll show you. Lock stick. So, it's kind of comes and goes. It's weird, but sometimes, especially if you do it left-handed, there's like a creaking sound when you disengage it, and it kind of catches at a certain point. It's not happening right now. There, you can hear it right there. So it really depends on I don't know if it's how you deploy it or what, but it has some lock stick. I tried to sand that down a little bit, but all I have is sandpaper, so probably just need to take a little bit off of the liner lock face and you'd be good. But I don't know, it could also be the tang of the blade. I am not, an expert when it comes to modding and fixing knives and stuff. I just like to tinker with them and tune them. Also, the centering was jacked up. Now, I think by bending the lock bar to get the detent strengthened, I inadvertently fixed the centering somehow. There's enough pressure on it that it pretty much looks dead center. I think it's still a little off to the clip side. That's kind of what was happening. When the pivot was tight, it was way off to this side. And then lastly, the detent is light on this guy compared to the other one I have. Now, I have strengthened it up substantially. It went from just kind of flopping out to now it pretty much locks up if you attempt to flick it. Not if you catch it on your finger though. But you can see on this one, I can just basically pop it and it'll fly out and lock up. There's no lock stick at all. Lockup is very good. And it's very smooth, this one. I'm sorry, sometimes I miss these tiny thumbs. So it drops to the nail. Very smooth throughout the closure. On this one, you can feel a little bit of, I don't know if it's grit or if it's the pressure from the lock bar because I bent it over. But it does drop as well. And it still has fairly good action. I mean, for such a tiny knife, it's actually really good. So, first impressions wise, sorry, I keep catching it on something like my finger or whatever. It's just a tiny knife, guys. It is really small. Yet I can fit my whole hand on this thing using that choil. So Ben Peterson definitely nailed it with the ergos. You have a very tiny blade. I don't know what it is, 2.3 inches, something like that maybe. It does slice extremely well. Let me get some paper here. So it's very thin behind the edge. This is Nitro V steel. Sorry, it's so small. You can see there, it is very good. Thin behind the edge, very slicey indeed. I very much am liking this thing. The tip is pretty good. I like that it's kind of a sheep's footy drop point. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it a drop point. I'd say it's a sheep's foot, but I don't really have my F5s here to compare, but it kind of looks like that. Kind of has a Voxnez style look to it, and so do the ergos. I mean, and that's a compliment to Ben, you know. This feels more comfortable than the Ace Riv. I mean, it really is a melt in your hand perfectness. I mean, the kind of slight chunkiness to the handle, where the swells are, it just literally fits my hand perfectly. I don't know about everybody else's. And I love this version of it with the Stonewash or bead blasted blade. I obviously am not a big fan of coated blades, really. So this was the one I wanted to get. I love these thumb studs. These titanium thumb studs were such a freaking fantastic choice to add on here. It just really gives this knife a little bit more of a premium feel to it, and I really enjoy these thumb studs. I wish they were on everything, to be honest. They're very comfortable, but yet you get enough traction. Just a really cool little knife. I will say the clip was a little tight for me. You can see there. I had some thicker pants, and it was giving me a hard time getting in and out of those pockets. Just keep catching it. I promise. Look, if you look at the detent on this one, see how it just popped out? Really positive click. This one, not so much. Still good now that I fixed it, but I can easily... It comes out a little bit easier than this one. They're pretty close. Can I do a reverse backwards flick? How do you do that? I can't even get it to pop out. Alright, let's take this bad boy apart. I'm differentiating it by the clip. So left clip, I can also feel it out, but I took this apart like 20 times yesterday, so I know what I'm doing. Although I was taking it down to the liners, and I'll show you how that works. It's kind of annoying on this knife because you have to go T6 on the clip. And in order to get the liner out, you got to take this bottom screw on the clip out. And, yeah, it was just a pain to get back in for some reason. It's a very small screw. I'm not going to take it out because I don't feel like dealing with it. But basically, you take out your pivot screw. I got Loctite in there. I'll have to redo. Take out your pivot screw and your one body screw back here and the top clip screw. That's all you need to do. And then the scale will come off. And there you go. And that bottom clip screw is what's holding this liner in. So that is what I was taking out so I could get the whole liner out so I could bend the lock bar to try to strengthen that detent. I was bending it this way to put more pressure inward into the detent hole, essentially. And then this is what I tried sanding off, because back here there was actually some material on here. I don't know if it was the whatever this bead blast is, was kind of on the top of the lock face here, and I sanded this a little bit to flatten it out, and it worked. It got that stuff off, but I didn't really change the action. It's like something is catching. Yeah, so I don't know if it's on the blade. I'm gonna look at that now, actually. Maybe I'll sand that too and see if it helps. All right, sorry, I got cut off there. So basically what I'm thinking is maybe it could have something to do with this as well, the angle here. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. Maybe right there it's catching. I can't tell you. All I know is I sanded that down, so it's very, very smooth now. There's no bump or anything that should be catching on anything. There shouldn't be here either, but it could just be that the angle is wrong. You know, they just didn't cut the geometry perfectly. But that's as far as I'm going to go with talking about that, because I am for sure not an expert on this. And this is literally all I have is this sandpaper. I mean, I have files in my toolbox, but, you know, that's not for me to mess around with, at least not right now. Plus, Justin is going to be much more versed in dealing with this stuff, and he can handle it. Let me just get the corner here a little bit. I mean, if anything, I'm just taking the bead blast off of anything. I don't think I'm doing much here, but it's very smooth, though. I will say that. So, we got it smoothed out. Check this out. I got something cool that we can use. I bought this at the pharmacy when we were all sick, so we could clean thermometers and clean any type of stuff we were all using to try to not be sick. So, it's alcohol you can spray. Look at that. All right, that was a little much. That was maybe just a little much, and now I'm going to ruin my mat. So, let's clean that up really fast. Oh, God, no. Say it ain't so, Kev. Say it ain't so. Oh, God. Who'd have thunk it? Alcohol could ruin a mat. Fuck me, Kev. What can I use to fix this? What can I use to fix this? What can I use? Or is it going to dry up? Come on, baby. You can dry up. You can dry up. That doesn't look that bad. I think it's already drying up, kind of. All right, note to self. That was dumb. Don't do that. Just spray into the rag or whatever, right? No need to spray the actual freaking mat, dude. Okay. So. I thought that was cool for a second. Till I realized I'm an idiot. I also only needed like one spritz, right? Not a ton of spritzes. Look, I found something cool to ruin my mat with. Watch this. Might as well take it down and just see if putting it back together fixes anything. You never know, man. I found out that just putting a stop pin in wrong could cause a bunch of problems. Yeah, I think I might have darkened this area a little bit, but it's not a huge deal. Nice and clean now, though, that's for sure. Alright, let's get this thing back together. Pivot was over here, right? And then it wants to face this way. Is that right? So let's see. Yep, just like that. Get some schniz. You know what? I don't think I'm going to Loctite it, because if I'm going to send it to Justin, he's probably going to take it apart again. And there's no reason for me to mess with it. KPL guys, knifepivotlube.com. Use code LEFTY10 for 10% off your order. Absolutely recommend KPL original and heavy. I did find out the bearings on this one prefer to be facing the other way, out. That's just how they had it. That's how I'm going to keep doing it, just to be consistent. Put that in. Need our stop pin. There we go. Get that in, make sure it's secured. Then we'll put a little schniz right here and right here. Again, on this one, it wants to face out, so I will abide by what it wants to do. Put a little schnizzy for his head. Heavy schniz, whatever you want to call it. P-temp ball track. That's where the heavy goes. In case you haven't heard me mention that before. And then you just drop this bad boy on. The liners or the standoffs back there kind of click into place, which is cool. Of course, that time they didn't. They just dropped in, so I don't know. Trying to make sure this pivot goes all the way through. Doesn't want to currently because it's turned a little bit. So what do we do? I need to turn that pivot, so I'm gonna take it off. Man, you see that edge just like glistening? That's awesome. It's a factory edge. Come on. See, I had it in there before we... Alright, I'm just going to hold it this time. Sorry, this is a bit of a shit show. This is how you take apart your baby Banter. Try to put it down a little bit, because that way the liner won't try to fly across. Jeez, come on. I put a lot of pressure onto that because I wanted to strengthen the detent, which is causing all these issues right now. So what I'm going to do is pop this one in. Seriously? Really, Kev? I want to see Nick Shabazz do this better than me. Get out of here. Get out of here. I'm just kidding. Alright, there we go. Thread it in. Get my bit driver. Alright. There we go. See, lockup's not bad. Yeah, its stick is still there a little bit, so hang on. Let me get this guy in. Alright, that's tight. That's tight. Whoa. What the fuck? I have never touched that screw one time. So it's really weird that it's... Is it stripped? Yeah, look, I can't... It looks fine though, right? Am I crazy? Works fine in there. Yeah, it's like stripped out. I have never even touched that screw before you guys go blaming me for it. Try a different driver and see. Yeah, it's just a very shallow where it's stripped right there on that edge. I don't know. Luckily, you don't have to take that side apart. So here's another reason why I don't want to give this one away. I mean, that's problem number like 7, right? I mean, geez. All right. So there's no play. We can loosen it a little bit. No play. Such a tiny knife. There we go. So, I mean, action's good. Centering is okay. It's off to the clip side a bit, but it's hard for you to tell. There you go. You can see a little bit, but it's flickable. There's maybe a hint of play. I can tighten it. I mean, this is all stuff Justin can do when he gets it, but anyway, yeah, I can't fix that lock stick, so I don't know what it is. It's really not bad at all. It's just I'm used to it not sticking at all, so fundamentally this knife is perfectly fine. So just has strip screws and all that kind of stuff. So that's the baby Banter that's going to Justin. Here's mine. I'm loving it. It's not something I'm going to carry like religiously or anything. I don't know how long it'll stick around. It's not an expensive knife, so there's really no reason to just like sell it or whatever. So it'll probably just be like a little backup beater knife, or if I for some reason need a tiny knife for a day or whatever, I'll have it. But I'm really digging it, so I'll do a full review in a little bit, a week or so, maybe more, who knows, and we'll go from there. But I mean, if you have tiny hands, this thing would be freaking awesome, man. Like if this was like a medium-sized knife in my hand, I'd freaking love it. But it's just super duper tiny for me. But yeah, so that is the baby Banter Disassembly. First impressions of rambling and nonsense. So thank you guys for checking it out. I love you all. I hope you have a fantastic day, because I am. And I will catch you later.